Well. Hello and welcome to another edition of Brothas-in-law. Hey, Corey, I'm here, Mike Bradley, with my co-host Corey Taylor. We are here to give you another good show. Corey Taylor and I are best friends who grew up together in Canton, Ohio. Former law enforcement officers. Corey was 7 years in the Virginia State Trooper. I was 26 years in Pleasanton, California, Northern California Police Department. We're also military veterans. For those of you who are just joining the show, thanks a lot for joining us. I see you, Tone. I see you, Goat. We're gonna have a good one. Hey, Corey, what's going on?
What's going on, family? Welcome. Yeah, we got a good one lined up, man. I'm excited to talk about it. This is one of the ones that never get old to talk about because it's a huge problem in our society today. A lot of controversy on who should handle mental health calls for service. Should it be the police or should it be a doctor? Should it be the paramedics that roll out there to try to render assistance? But as you'll see tonight in this video that we have lined up for you, you make the call. Should it be the police responding to these types of calls for services, or who should do it? Should you go armed or should you go unarmed? Right? Those are the type of questions that we need to start asking as a community, because ultimately you never know when you may have to have that call the police for that loved ones, such as what we have here. So it'd be interesting to see what everyone's thoughts are. So join in, chime in, ask those questions. Tell us what you would do in this type of situation. Again, we hope that you get value out of this, that it enables you to start the conversation with friends and families, and possibly look at your family, because there's probably, we know somebody that has a family member that may have some type of mental health issue, and we need to know how to handle it. At what point do we get the police involved in this? If the police come, what should we do, right, to ensure our loved one's safety while interacting with law enforcement? So we definitely hope you get value out of this. And if you're new to our channel, just checking us out, go ahead and please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're over here watching us out on YouTube, and if you're watching us over there on Facebook, go ahead and hit that like button and throw them hearts up on there for us. And I think you might have the capability as well of sharing it over there on Facebook as well. But yeah, Mike, it's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mental health. Mental health, like you say, is always one of those things. It never gets old. It's always one of those things that folks may question whether or not law enforcement are the proper ones to handle it, or are they not? Like you say, I appreciate everybody joining us. Please make your comments, ask your questions. Let me hear some viewpoints once we watch this video. Let me hear some viewpoints on what you guys think. Tone, Goat, I want to hear from you to see where you are and what you think of what happened and how it happened. This is an incident. Was it in Ohio, Corey? Was it in Ohio that this happened?
In Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, yeah, Dayton, Ohio. Just to set it up, it's just going to be. It looks like a grandmother and her grandson or son. One of them, the son or grandson, is the one with a mental health problem. Mom and son, and son lives with mom. And I believe that the mom said that the son is schizophrenic. So he was having an episode, and she naturally called the police to help handle her schizophrenic son, who was having an episode, a manic episode, if you will. So it's going to be a good one. I'm not going to give it all away. We're going to watch it. It's kind of lengthy. But it's important to show how these officers who come on scene, how they handle this and what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was looking before the show to saying, how we can lead into it, and then we can pick up right here, because it is approximately about 14, 14 and a half minutes long. But I was like, well, you kind of take away from it if you kind of cut pieces out of it and just get towards the end of it. You know what I mean? Because we want you to see the whole thing from the start to the end, to see how these call for services go bad. When you always hear the term of, routine call or routine health check, there's nothing routine about these incidents. And people always get caught up with saying, well, they could have had a little more compassion, they could have done this, they could have done that. And you'll see in this video, like, I don't know what else these officers could have done. But needless to say, we won't talk anymore. We'll get into it. And as always, we'll try our best to hold our comments until the end. But if we see something that's relevant and important for you all to know, we'll stop it and make our comments and keep it moving. So without further ado, and we'll go ahead and tell you, be warned about this. There is some graphic content in this that may be disturbing to some of our viewers. So so be advised.
Hi, Tyler. What's going on? Can I see your other hand? All right. Make sure you got no watch on you. What's going on today? Not feeling it? Are you off your meds? Mm-hmm. We've talked before, remember? You recognize me? Mm-hmm. No, not at all. You used to have braids, didn't you? Mm-hmm. No?
I see you, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
I'm braids.
Yep. Welcome.
What's going on today? Here, you sit down. Want to sit down? You want me to talk to Mom?
I mean, I'm gonna put it in the times. What, you about to take me to jail for or something?
I'm not taking you to jail at all. What's up?
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Why are we here?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, you do.
I mean,
something's wrong. I can tell. I can look in your face and tell you something's wrong.
It is.
I know.
At the same time, it's not what you think either.
Are you feeling like homicidal, suicidal?
I don't know how I'm feeling right now.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm here to talk to you.
Okay, I'm just saying. Right now, please, call no. What she just called you for, and I ain't really do nothing to her.
Do you want me to ask Mom? What's going on, Mom?
She's saying I don't know.
He's delusional.
Okay.
He's delusional.
And you have a history of that?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
He's a delusional.
No.
Yeah, walked to the store and came back. Just start banging on the house. Just banging on the house.
Okay.
And I'm like, you got to get help.
Why were you banging on the house?
Because she got some like little home invasion and stuff going on, and they probably quiet and you can't hear them all the way. That's
so
what
you think there's someone in the house?
I mean, they quiet right now. Yes, there's somebody in this house. Okay. Yes, it is, and it's not just me. It's a home invasion for real.
Do you want us to look?
I mean, you're gonna have to go through the attic or something.
So you're hearing people in the attic?
It's about everywhere, and I'm not playing no more.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just telling you what it is. It's a home invasion.
Okay.
So that's what it is, and it's not me.
You're scared because you hear people in your house.
Okay, yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is.
Okay. Does your mom hear those people?
Oh, she definitely doesn't act slow.
What
so whoever else acting slow, no, I'm not playing. I'm sorry. I see you grabbing that. Is it me or them? They have a home invasion up in here.
Okay.
And I'm not playing.
Okay. Do you have a healthcare worker that you usually talk to?
This ain't about healthcare. It's a home invasion.
It's
all the way different. It's all the way different. This ain't healthcare. It's home invasion.
Nothing right now?
No.
Relax for a second.
Aren't you diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia?
No, this ain't paranoid.
He got all kinds of diagnoses.
Yeah.
But
like I said, I've talked to you many times. I don't know how you don't recognize me. Maybe it's the beard.
I don't know.
I grew a beard.
I'm just saying on who started on who on what. That's all I'm telling you.
And you and I have always been.
If we've been cool, cordial, then you should understand. When I say it's a home invasion up in this house, then that's what it be. Safety is the key. Safety is the key word.
But but I don't feel safe with you anymore.
Oh, but you feel safe with these people home invading your house. Okay.
I don't feel safe with you.
So you feel safe with that. No, it's all right.
Yeah.
There's a home invasion.
Well, in our call, the call batters could hear you say
I'm not playing. It's a home invasion in
that you
here.
were going to don't play like I'm not going to kill all of you.
I'm not.
Okay.
And I'm seriously not.
So
I'm
you
keeping
are
it
feeling a
close.
little homicidal a little bit.
I'm telling you, it's a home invasion.
Okay.
I'm not playing.
Well, if you sit down, I'll go look in the attic if you want me to.
I mean, I'll check with you. You can go ahead. I'm right here.
Okay.
Disappear, reappear, Batman and Robin, what it is.
I know, but you're in the way. I can't go check.
Let me check, see if you're
Can
hearing
you
something.
sit here with your mom?
Go check, see if you're hearing something. Check. You hear something. I mean, y'all hear me all the time. Y'all hear my name outside. Ain't nobody dead.
But you hear people saying your name.
They in here, and I'm not playing.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, brother.
I'm
Okay?
telling you, it's a home invasion.
Okay.
If it's coming at me and my safety, I'm not playing with nobody.
Okay.
If y'all on my side, because y'all know I'm not going to lie to you like that,
I know.
yes. If y'all going at me crazy like that, yes, I'm going to be on bullshit. I'm telling you that. As a man to man,
What do you like to be called? Tyler?
I'm
Antonio?
Tyler Antonio Patrick.
Okay.
I'm telling you what it is.
Your
Plain and
mother
simple.
is worried about you.
She's not worried. She's
Oh,
ignoring
she's
everything
not very
around because she's trying to get me set up.
Because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing
I don't feel safe
with your
you
medication.
anymore.
I don't have medication.
Exactly.
I'm not
You
on
should be on
medication.
Yes,
medication.
you need
No, I
help.
shouldn't.
Yes, you should. You always have been on medication.
So you don't hear those people talking on the side right
I've been here with social workers
now.
before.
You don't hear that.
You're hearing things that aren't here. I hate to tell you that, but we need to go talk to somebody. Okay?
We're trying to be real with you, dude. I'm trying to be real with you too. Yeah. I know you hear them. I ain't deaf.
Tyler, do you want to go to Grandview or Miami Valley?
I'm going out like that.
Well, you already know we have to.
I'm
You
not
need-
going out like that.
You already
Tyler,
know.
you gotta get help, honey. You need help. You can't stay in this house with
The
me.
best help you can do is pay attention to what I'm hearing too. There ain't nobody dead.
Tyler, you can't stay in this house with me no more. I can't do this no
Your
more.
mother's afraid.
She ain't gotta be afraid of me.
Yes.
Yes,
She is.
I don't feel safe with you anymore. I don't feel safe anymore with you, Tyler. You gotta go. You have to go.
I think for time purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward it just a little bit
Check out for
here.
your mom?
No, because I don't need no medication. You can hear these motherfuckers talking.
I don't hear anything.
You hear them.
Are talking
Well, that's
real
part of the
calm.
medical
They're
diagnosis.
not trying to meet him where he is.
Right.
You have people with mental health who is agitated and seem like kind of aggressive. Well, you don't want to meet somebody with mental health. You don't want to meet them there at that same level because you're just going to agitate them more. Common tactic for police.
Yep. All right. Fast forward here a little bit towards the end, but that what you just saw up to that point is how this whole thing has been going up to this point here, and we'll pick it up here to go ahead and roll with it.
I mean, it don't. If you can
So real quick though, pause for a minute. Just for our viewers now, if I'm the officer on scene here, you already know it looks like these officers already made up their mind that they are going to place him under a mental health hold, which means they're going to try to get him to the hospital. And so either he will come with them voluntarily or not. But he's got to go to the mental hospital nonetheless. He meets the criteria of 5150, at least out here in California, because his actions may have made the homeowner, his mom, in fear of her safety by him staying there based on his mental health behaviors at this time, So they made the decision to do that. But I want y'all to understand what's going on in these police officers' minds of, okay, we're going to have to take this person on a mental health hold. Now we have to realize we might have to physically restrain him. So you're thinking of, does he have any weapons on him? Anything in his hands? If you notice, his left hand, Corey, is down by his side. I don't know if they can see it or not.
Let's go ahead and finish that up, because I think we're going to go tell it all before it even happens.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
But you're right, though. I'm going to answer Jesus' question after this.
Okay.
Somebody shut the car over.
All right, put your cigar out. We're going to go to the hospital now, okay? Okay?
Come on, just put your cigar out.
Let's go.
Listen, it's a straight up open face.
I understand.
Y'all keep playing with me. Please stop.
Your mother is worried about you.
Please stop.
Okay? So we're going to the hospital.
I'll tell you, please stop. Like right now, please.
I know. I know.
As a human being,
I know.
I'm not that deaf.
And we don't want to take you out of here.
Please.
Okay?
And I mean, please.
All right, let's go.
I mean, please. Please.
That quick.
Okay?
And I mean, please.
All right, let's go.
I mean, please.
He's got a knife!
He stabbed that knife out of his head. So you guys realize what just happened.
And yeah, you just don't know how fast it's going to happen.
For those of you who don't realize what just happened, with his left hand, he had a knife in his left hand.
Sorry that. So, you ever keys out your.
Go ahead, Mike.
So that just goes to show you how quickly something like that can escalate, especially when you're dealing with someone with mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? So for our viewers, let me see some comments. Do you understand why the officers were trying to speak to him in a very tactful way? They were not trying to upset him any more than what he was already upset. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus loves you. You know, he has a good question, statement, I should say, that, he should have been in cuffs from the very beginning. Not necessarily. I wouldn't rush to put him in cuffs like that. Remember, because we're dealing with a mental health person. We need to find out what's going on. We need to still make the determination if he needs to get transported to the hospital. We want to kind of get them to go on their own accord. The last thing we want to do is elevate the situation more than what it is, because you could tell at one point he was getting very agitated, and they didn't match that, like Mike said a few minutes ago, and you don't want to match his aggression. It was good that they stayed calm the way they did. Maybe towards the end, I mean, they were getting to that point, Jesus love you, where they were going to end up putting cuffs on. But I wouldn't have done it right in the beginning, because you don't want them to think that, you coming in straight to be aggressive. Because remember, he made a statement in the beginning, like, what, you going to take me to jail? Right. So he would have been ready to buck, right then. It was like, yeah, we're here to take you to jail, or put you, detain you for right now. And typically you hear it say, yeah, we want to get you in cuffs for your safety and for the officer's safety. But sometimes when it comes to mental health, you gotta use a little more. What word am I looking for, Mike?
Tact. A little more
tact. You want to be a little more calm. You don't want to be the aggressor. And find out what's going. Right. And they knew the guy too, so.
Right, that's the other thing. They knew him, so he had a history of mental health, and they knew, clearly had been familiar with his issues. You're right, and yeah, I agree with you, Corey. I wouldn't have cuffed him right then and there, because keep in mind, as an officer responding to that call, you're not yet thinking criminal. This is a mental health call. Mom called because the son is in some kind of bad mental state. Hadn't committed a crime yet, okay, but he was in a point where mom was afraid for her safety and she was afraid of what he might do. So I agree, Corey, that I wouldn't have initially rushed in and put cuffs on him. However, officer safety, I will say, what bothered me in this video, and maybe these officers saw something different, but what bothered me in this video was how he kept his left hand down where I really couldn't see if he was holding something, if he had something in his pocket or something like that. Now, based on that action, I might have at least patted him down to make sure I didn't feel any weapons in his pockets.
Remember though, Mike, he in the beginning, as he was making entrance into the house, when he was standing in the doorway there, the officer did say, "Hey, let me see your hands. Make sure you don't have nothing in your hands." Now, probably at some point during their conversation, you know, he had, you're right, he had that knife in his pocket, but it probably wasn't until then, after he went and lit his cigarette, that he started sticking his left hand in his pocket. So he was probably already scheming and gaming that he was probably going to get that. 2 points here. Jesus Love says, though he has mental health, he was smart enough to plan and stab the cop. And, you know, he does understand per what we were just talking about. Tone says, I thought the so-called defund the police was supposed to allocate funds to help assist the police so they would not have to be so hands-on. Well, is help available for police officers to call? It depends. I know we didn't have, as state, we didn't have a lot of, you would think otherwise. There was not a lot of resources that we could call. Typically, our thing was taking them straight to the hospital. And typically, if I came across one, I would typically make sure, obviously, they were safe, made a determination that they need to be evaluated, and I would call rescue out and have them transport them and have them at the hospital then determine where they need to go. But be honest with you, the hospital, there's really nowhere for these people to go, be honest with you. You go to the hospital, there are some mental health centers, but they're understaffed. They don't have the rooming available for these folks, and they get them out there. They get them started on some type of meds, and then they're right back out on the street. So that, I'll be honest with you, they're not really getting the help that they really need, and that's a problem.
I agree. Now it's a different tone. It's different in different places as far as that goes. When I was an officer, I was pretty much handled the same way Corey did. Is the officers were the ones to determine if you met the criteria for what they call 5150, which is a danger to yourself, a danger to somebody else, or what they consider gravely disabled. And the gravely disabled one was you really had to be, you know, disabled to the point where you really had no way of taking care of yourself. You see what I'm saying? And in that situation, we would normally call medical personnel, like an ambulance, to come and transport them to a mental health facility and or a medical hospital. So that's how we handled it too back then. Now, but let's get into that question, Tone, about the funds to help assist police so they wouldn't have to be so hands-on. What do you think of that, Corey? Like in this situation, this guy had a knife and was ready to stab somebody who was going to try to force him to go to the hospital. What do you think of that, Tone? Do you think that someone who is not a law enforcement officer should be put in that type of situation? What do you think, Corey?
No, and see, that's the problem. And I think in several videos ago that we did when we talked about the dangers of mental health, that's one of the things we discussed. You know, is I think one answer to these types of problems is maybe cross training a licensed psychiatrist to go out with these guys, maybe and help them. if you would have just sent, if she would have called rescue out there, if the paramedics had come out there, then somebody probably could have been killed. And these are the type of
that
things
officer could have been killed, if you know.
yeah. I mean, he wasn't expecting that, and he
No.
knew the guy. He had a relationship with this guy, so he was familiar with him, and that's what's disturbing, because the young man knew the officer, right? And so if he hurt the officer, what do you think he probably would have done to his mother? So I'm not too big on just, letting anybody just go over there just because they fear that the cop, want to throw at the law enforcement. Well, they're law enforcement and they just killed him. He has mental health issues. Well, look, they're a danger. That's why you call the police. They were a danger to themselves, and they were a danger to whoever they are around. And you can't just send rescue in there without a way of defending themselves. You just can't do that.
But here and there, that's the big question mark. That's the big question, because they'll say, well, officers are not trained professional mental health professionals. I get that. That's true. But I think that's where the gray area is, Corey. We want a mental health professional to deal with someone with mental health problems, but you want to send them into an environment where they could physically be hurt or killed. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just like this officer. Officers are not mental health professionals, but they can tell if you meet the criteria of 5150, if you need to be mentally committed. And the only reason the officers don't want to get hurt either, but at least they're doing a job where they understand that the possibility of getting hurt is part of the job. You see what I'm saying? At least that much.
And to your point, Mike, when it comes to training the officers, like we understand the definition of different types of psychosis, schizophrenia, paranoia. We're trained to look for different things in that aspect. They're not going into totally diagnose them. It's like, oh yeah, you're definitely a schizo or whatever, bipolar disorder. We're not there to do that. We're just looking for little tidbits. Okay, yeah, you're hearing these voices, you're hearing these noises, and nobody else in the room is hearing these noises and things of that nature. That right there, common things that everybody can recognize that something's not right. Somebody's in the house. Well, nobody's in the house. I've been here all day. Nobody's here, but you're claiming somebody's up in the attic. So we're trained to look for little things like that and make the determination that, we need to get you somewhere. And they mentioned, hey, which hospital do you want to go to? Do you want to go back to, whatever that name of the hospital were, to try to give them the option to make the decision himself to go, but he's not seeing it that way. And a lot of times with the mental health, they're not going to see it that way. They think there's nothing wrong with them. So that's, can be frustrating, and to the point where, what, we always say time is on our side, right? But at some point, to Jesus loves you's point, it's time to put cuffs on and it's time to get you out of here.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree. And another thing, another avenue to your question, Tone, now I understand that they do have, it is more, it's becoming more common that they do have little teams or crisis intervention teams or whatever they call it to respond to these mental health issues, either by themselves or with an officer. But I'm not sure, Tone, exactly how successful that is. I don't know how that works as far as putting a mental health professional in a situation where you could possibly have weapons, things like that, where somebody could actually get hurt. You see what I'm saying? So I don't knock having a mental health professional handle these calls, not at all. But you have to figure out how which calls to send them to and which calls not to send them to. which calls are going to be dangerous, which calls are not going to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to send a mental health professional into, say, a domestic violence situation where somebody has a mental health problem. You see what I'm saying? Or a crime was reported involving someone with mental health.
So that's a good question. Then I would ask our viewers, as I stated earlier, do you think then that there should be like, for example, we have attorneys at the state police level that are also sworn officers. Now, their main job is handle the law. We call up there to headquarters and ask them legal questions and things. Hey, can I do this? Hey, can I do that? If we had separate units that were sworn officers, but at the same time handle mental cases, that may be an alternative. So you don't have to decide whether or not this is the right person to send to this call. Well, if it is a danger, they're able to handle it to protect themselves and to protect whoever's in that environment too. So I guess my question is, would that be? Do you, our viewers, think that would be a good option to have cross train or have a sworn officer who's also a licensed psychiatrist? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that would work too. And Tone asked another question. He says, can an officer call in other words, can an officer call a professional psych therapist since they knew this person had mental health issues or evaluated actually on the scene? Yeah, and that's what we mean, Tone. Like have some kind of mental health team, psych therapist or something, maybe respond with the officer to a call for service like that. Even beforehand, if it's a mental health call for service, you're going to be contacting someone with possible mental health issues. Can you have a psych therapist respond with the officer to assist and talk to this person? Yeah, you could. Maybe some units do have that. Like I say, I believe there are police agencies now who have something like that or similar to that, where they respond to those calls with the officer. But again, my question is exactly what's the dynamic of that? How does that work exactly? In this case, would that have been beneficial, Tone? Let me ask you that, Tone. Would this have been beneficial in this case with a mental health professional in place of the officer or with the officer? Do you think this guy would have went off and tried to stab somebody regardless? I think so. I think this guy.
I think so.
He wasn't trying to go to the hospital.
No, he already had his mind made up. He was hearing the voices. He knew that they were going to transport him out of there, and he didn't feel like he needed to go. So this was the end result. But what I'm thankful for that they chose the option to tackle him. Now that was a very dangerous move on them to tackle him and get the knife out of his hand. They could have tased him. They could have shot him, right? But is that something you want to do when his mom is right there? Right.
Good point.
I probably would have done what they did. I probably would have tackled them. That probably would have been a dumb thing for me to do, is tackle somebody with a knife. But at the same time, I don't think I probably will want to try to shoot him in front of his mom in her house.
Well, that now you opening up a whole nother can of worms, Corey, because you have, and this is why you have to be in that situation to feel it out. It depends on what that particular officer interprets, what that particular officer perceives at that moment, at that second, and what he or she chooses to do. So there might be some officers, once he stabbed that one officer in the neck, there might be an officer that will pull out and shoot him. You know what I'm saying? which would be justified, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? This case, these officers thought maybe they thought they were close enough to him to grab him and possibly get the upper hand on him quicker because they were in such close proximity. You know what I'm saying? That could be. But what if you turn around and got another stab off? You know, you bring up a good point, Corey, because that window could be interpreted in many ways by different officers.
Yeah, I mean, whoo, that's one of the ones you don't want to really be in.
Right.
Be honest, because I mean, you put yourself at risk, right? Because what's the number one thing we always say? Officer safety, right? I mean, the best option there they could have really done, which again, I still had no problem with what they done, but it's not a smart thing to do to go and tackle somebody with a knife, right? Because we always talk about,
I mean,
getting stabbed.
Yeah. Right.
Now you got 2 down officers in there, and that's not cool. You know
what
do
you think, Tone? What do you think, Jesus love you? Do you think it would be justified to shoot this guy? If not, why? Do you think what these officers did was better, or what? What y'all think? You know, Jesus love you says he hope he doesn't get to the point of calling in a psychologist to this type of situation instead of a cop. You make a good point, because look what happened. This would have happened to the psychologist instead of the cop. You know what I'm saying? The psychologist would have got stabbed and or killed. You know what I'm saying? And Tone, the priority is to get the mother out the house. But let me ask you, Tone, you see how fast this happened. What if they didn't have time to do that? They had to take action. In this situation, they took action by tackling the guy.
She removed herself from the situation because I think she picked up on it that it was getting ready to go south. So she removed herself. I don't think we got to see that part where she actually got up off the couch and walked out. Because I think once they start talking about, hey, we're gonna go ahead and get you and take you, on out of here. I think at that point that's when she knew and she wanted to get out of their way. So she removed herself, which is really good, which enabled them to get down there. Now, I mean, this is one of the ones you can't Monday morning quarterback this, because I think these officers did everything in the right way, and not expecting to get this type of an end result, which is why we have to always keep our heads, our officers keep your heads on a swivel and not get caught up, in a lackadaisy state, if you will, and go in here and think, oh, well, this, I know this guy, he's really no threat, no problem. And, it could end up much, much worse. What say you, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I think they handled it well. I think the whole purpose of them, when they contacted him, I believe that they probably didn't have time to draw a weapon on him. They were so close to him. They probably thought it was more advantageous to just jump on him and grab that knife to try to overpower him that way. I think that's why they made that decision. But other than that, I think the officers handled it correctly when they first initially contacted him. They kept their communication at a low tone, a nice calm tone, while he was getting agitated and exaggerated and all that. They tried to counter that by keeping calm and making low profile, calm statements to him without barking orders at him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They kept it, to try to keep it as a normal conversation as possible, and which is what I would do, with the intent of not trying to jack him up any more than he already is. Right. Again, your goal is to convince him to voluntarily go to a mental health facility.
Yeah. And that's what you have to do, because I share a quick story with you. I was working midnights and I had got a call of a pedestrian on the interstate. Like, okay, no biggie. Probably car broke down, whatever. What's my thought process right now is just, get him off the interstate. So I roll up on him, get him stopped. We're standing on the side of the road. They're talking. This is like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're standing on the side of the road talking and everything. And so I start asking, your name, where you coming from? Why are you up here? Well, he had just got released from jail at Old Dark 30. No identification, no nothing. So I asked him his name. He's telling me his name is Jesus. I think that's what he said. Jesus. I said, okay, Jesus, how old are you? I'm 2,000 years old. Well, right then, you know what my thought process is now. It's like, oh, great. I got a mental health issue. So what do? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is where we get to tell, who you're going to call. What are you going to do? It's 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Where's everybody? At home in bed, sleep, right? What am I going to do with this guy here? So he starts telling me his name is Jesus or whatever. He's 2,000 years old. He, from another planet. And I'm like, what the what is this? Like, okay, dude, great. Can I help you get somewhere? Yeah, I need to go. Hey, great. Well, hey, I can get you off the interstate because I really can't have you up here and I don't need you getting hurt while you're up here. I said, why don't you just let me get you off the interstate? Well, he doesn't know I'm going to take him to the hospital. I'm going to drop you right off in the ER and get him off the interstate. And that's exactly what I did. It's like, well, I kind of went along with him. Like, yeah, I get you. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're this old. No, well, how was life treating you since you this old, man? 2,000 years. I mean, that's crazy, man. How'd you learn to survive that long? And he goes off into this, but I had to keep him calm. Right, I had to keep him calm.
Especially while you were giving him a ride.
right. And see, so now here's the question. Or here's the thing, I had to make a determination. Okay, well, he just got out of jail. He has mental health issues. I know what my department policy is, right? We don't put people in the back seat. Why? Because in our state police vehicles, we didn't have the cage. So where does he have to ride? In the front seat with me. So here's what I had to determine at this point. Do I handcuff him? Piss him off? Now we're more likely going to get in a fight because now in his head he's probably thinking he's going to go back to jail, right? Or I just treat him as he's just a pedestrian that needs to get off the interstate, put him in the front seat and get him off the interstate. Now our department policy at the time said that anybody gets in the front seat with you has to be in cuffs. So me, all right. I didn't do that. I just put him in the front seat. And drove him straight to the house. Now, that didn't go off well, but we got there and I was able to get him off and get him in there and let him know, hey, you need to get some help. But I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to do that. But not everybody is like that. So I learned and trained my own self, like, all right, I got to kind of match where they are, right? And kind of go along with them to make them think, yeah, I know you crazy, but I don't want you to think that I know that you know that I know you crazy. So I'm gonna kind of go along with you so I can get you to do the things that I need you to do so that you're safe and nobody else gets hurt. So that kind of worked out for me. Will it work out for everybody? And did it work out in every situation? Not so much. I don't know. Oh, I can't hear you, Mike.
How about now?
Okay, I got you.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. And it worked out in that case. Now, for us, before we put anybody in our patrol car, we got to at least pat them down. You got to make sure you ain't got no weapons. And I tell them, look, I need to make sure before I put you in my car, I got to make sure you don't have nothing on you that's going to hurt me. Because in our car, if they typically rode in the back seat. But we had a cage, half cage and half glass, or hard, that hard plastic on the other side. But something like that could have easily went south if he had something. And Jesus love you, I agree with you as far as him having his left hand hidden. That would have gotten me too. I would have at least patted him down to make sure he didn't have nothing in his pocket that he could grab with his left hand. Because it did bother me, Corey, too. It did bother me that how he kept that left hand kind of down, like he could easily grab something. You know what I'm saying? So it would have made me feel comfortable to pat his pockets down. And had they done that, maybe they would have felt the knife, and at which point they would have immediately removed that knife from his possession while they spoke to him.
Right.
So I get where you're coming from on that. But yeah, Corey, I hear what you're saying. You got to be tactful, and you can't meet him on that same level. You got to be especially if you got to put him in that car and transport him somewhere. You don't want him to go off while they're in that car. So yeah, you do what you can, say what you can in a tactful way to safely get him transported to where you need to go without any foolishness.
Yeah, that's the goal, to get them to do the things you need them to do. And to Jesus loves you point. Yeah, if you would have shot him, you would have been justified. But at the same time, stand by for the ridicule of doing that in the home in front of the mother, even though you would have been justified in doing so. You can definitely articulate what just happened. Deadly force in that situation, in my opinion, too, would have been authorized. Now it's just a matter of, would you have used it? Would you have done what these officers done? Would you have used your ass to try to hit him and get it out, or use your OC spray? There's a multitude of things you could have done in this situation. But again, they felt that they wanted to tackle him and wrestle the weapon out of him. Either way, it's fine. Again, for the handcuffing, yeah, and that's another thing too, folks. That's why officers always ask, or always will tell you, keep your hands where we can see them. Keep your hands out of your pocket. I mean, that used to be my number one pet peeve. So I get it. Yeah, I was kind of a little antsy on that too. Like, dude, get your hand out of your pocket. Like, why aren't you asking him or telling him to do that? Because I had a rule too, Mike. If I asked you 3 times to keep your hands out of your pockets, that next time I say it, I'm putting you in handcuffs. All right, dude, that's it. I'm not asking you no more. You're going in handcuffs. Because I'm tired. And 9 times 10, when I did that, I always pulled a weapon off of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and
Like you said, I'm glad you explained the reasoning behind that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because when people don't know, well, why is the officer always looking for them hands and keeping his hands out? That's why. We didn't check your pockets, so we don't know if you got something in them like a knife or something that you're gonna quickly grab and attack somebody. And tone is the tone. You can't say it any better than that. Officers, especially on the job in any kind of tactical situation, dealing with someone, trust no one. You don't assume that this person don't have a weapon. You don't assume that, oh, he ain't gonna do nothing to me. You never assume that. You always have to be on guard just in case, and do what you need to do to make the scene safe.
Yeah, you do. And that's the bottom line. So, we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. But, man, this was an awesome discussion. We thank everybody for watching us tonight. Again, if you're watching us for the first time, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us over on Facebook, hit that like button and hit them heart buttons over there on Facebook for us. And you can share it out over there as well. Check us out on our Brothas-in-law Facebook page. And we hope you got some value out of this, and how it's not a routine call when an officer goes to any type of call for service, and have this conversation with your family members, what to do, what your plan of action should be as a family. If you know someone in your family has mental health issues, what is your protocol? You know, do you call the police? If you have to call the police, you know, make sure you have loved ones there that can, you know, help assist and talk them through this. Because, you know, you don't want to have to end up in a situation like this where it could have been deadly. Even though the officer was wounded, you know, the man still was able to walk away and live and hopefully get the help and everything. Now he's got to face the criminal side of this as well, even though he has mental issues. Both things now have to be addressed. So talk to your loved ones. Again, we hope you got some value out of this. Like, share, and subscribe to us. We'll be back next week with another one. If you have something you would like for Mike and I to discuss and break down for you to give you some clarity on it, if it's what a reasonable officer would do or should have done, hit us up over on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you guys, or hit us on at the Brothas-in-law email at Brothas-in-law, I think it's _21@gmail. We'd love to get you on the show and have a conversation with you. Mike, any final words?
No, everybody got the weekend coming up. Everybody have a good, safe weekend, and stay happy.
Stay happy and be blessed. All
That's
right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same sandbox. And God bless, and we love you.
Peace out.
Peace.